My name's Justin McClure, and I'm here today with
Will Sloan.
And you're listening to the Important Cinema Club Best of the Year Edition.
Boy, I hate this annual episode.
Oh, I love it. I'm chomping at the bit because, you know, Galaxy Brain, look at it. I don't remember what I picked last year or the year before, so it doesn't really matter.
And that's the way to do it. I mean, oftentimes you'll see, you know, film people, cinephiles, movie buffs around the end of the year. They're marathoning stuff. They're getting their 2024 viewings all in those last couple weeks of December, or even the last couple weeks of November.
Yeah.
To try to get their definitive top 10 list, you know, which everybody cares about.
I did not see one list this year that I'm like, yeah, that's a good list. And I think it says more about the year for movies. Like, let me bring up my blog where I wrote an article about the year in movies.
Oh, is that about me?
Yes.
What I'll say about this annual exercise is I no longer, well, except for today a little bit, I no longer marathon like, I got to get it in so I can do my top 10 list, because let's face it, lists like this are always going to be biased to stuff you just saw. And especially they'll be biased to stuff that's everybody else is already talking about.
Yeah, so that's the problem I have with these kind of lists, is that I look at them and go, oh, wow, Justin thought this movie was the best. Yeah, you know it's best. It's on everybody's list. You don't need to put it there. You don't need to champion it.
These lists are more interesting to do really like 10 years or 20 years later, when you can think about what you've had time to realize what movies have resonated with you. Other movies, you know, start to emerge. Like there's a whole like world of cinema, and these lists tend to favor movies that were released by big companies towards the end of the year, you know?
I think the argument would be that people just want to be in the moment and they know what's out now. But the problem with us doing this list is a lot of the movies we're going to talk about, it's like, oh, well, I saw it at a film festival, or it's not available in North America, which kind of defeats that purpose.
Yeah. And also, I prefer living in the past these days.
Me too.
You know, I like this podcast because we can talk about things that we're interested in. And I remember...
Oh, no, we're switching to an all news format, Will. You didn't get the email?
I remember...
What's going on at Marvel Cinematic Universe right now?
There was a moment during the pandemic when, do you remember that Judd Apatow movie, King of Staten Island?
Yes.
So that was one of those movies that was being released. Like they hadn't quite figured out how to respond to the pandemic. So they were like, well, we're going to release it online for $25, which is the cost of 2 movie tickets, basically. So
get your loved one, which I'm sure you're with, living in this pandemic time. And
gather on the couch.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing that and thinking, boy, I've seen every Judd Apatow movie up till now. And now that it's just on a TV competing with the rest of film history, I don't really want to see it anymore.
You know what? As someone who actually enjoyed King of Staten Island, you made the right choice.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to enjoy it. Why would you go see it?
And that was a crucial moment in my evolution that made me realize, you know, I think I kind of prefer older movies.
I think that was my problem this year too, which is that I had no real interest in keeping up with what was new. So like a lot of friends would say, oh, you know, this movie. I was like, I don't know what it is. They're like, well, it's playing all the festivals. I'm like, well, I'm not going to those festivals, so I'm not really keeping track.
I mean, you have a new child too.
Yes. Oh, but it sleeps, it poops, it pees. I put it on a high shelf. I'm good. Like, I don't have to do that much stuff with it.
Cats and the cradle and the silver spoon. But I did see enough movies this year, especially at festivals, that I have a list here of movies that I really liked, that I think I stand by, and that I think I will continue to like as the years go by.
All right, let's get the first one out of the way. Let's see. Did Charlie Roxburgh and Matt Farley release a movie this year? They did.
Yeah. So these lists are not going to be in any particular order.
Nope.
They never
are.
We're just going to toss out movies that we like, and we're going to talk about them.
So I want to say Local Legends Bloodbath is one that grows on you.
Yes.
That, like, you'll see it, and I laughed, and, you know, it did what it had to do. Like a lot of Matt Farley projects, often he pitches them to you, and I go in expecting something, and it's not that at all due to the way his scripts evolve. He pitched it as a slasher.
Sometimes he'll pitch something, and my initial reaction will be, oh, no, don't do that. And this,
but he loves it. If he hears that, he's like, that's what I'm doing.
And that's why him and Charlie Roxburgh are the great artists that they are, because they give you what you don't think you want, and they make you love it.
But wait, Will, people who are clicking on this episode and have never listened to anything else because they just want a best of episode, who is Matt Farley and Charlie Roxburgh?
Okay, as quickly as possible, Matt Farley is a Massachusetts-based singer-songwriter. He's written more than 25,000 songs. Many of them are designed to sort of game the algorithm. A lot of songs about poop, a lot of happy birthday songs.
Yep.
And he makes a living off this.
He also does no joke songs, which is what he calls like the artistic passion projects that he does a lot of times alone, sometimes with his friends. They're all under different names and they all have like different themes. But on the subject of this podcast, he is also a filmmaker. Him and his pal Charlie Roxburgh, who met in college, they've been making movies since then, feature films that nobody sees for the longest time, and they just kept doing it.
And they're getting a bit of a cult following now.
Yeah.
Now, Local Legends from 2013, Charlie Roxburgh didn't direct that one. Matt Farley did, and that was his autobiographical self-portrait about being an artist in the algorithm age and the battle of art and commerce for an outsider artist trying to make a living off their creativity.
And how you find joy in just being creative, even if the room is in the promoter's mom's basement and there's like 5 people there.
Yeah, it's the great art for art's sake manifesto. And now 10 years later, he's made a movie called Local Legends Bloodbath that says, well, what if it was a slasher film?
Yes. Well, I wouldn't sell it as a slasher film. Instead, I would sell it as the poison pill to Local Legends, which is like what happens when you do get a little bit of success. And then you're stuck in this rut that you can't escape. And what if, as a person, that kind of charming, affable guy that's a little odd in Local Legends is actually like a deeply narcissistic individual who, like, everything he does is for a story or to further his own art?
Yeah, I mean, I really love this about this movie. It's not so much a sequel to Local Legends as it is a series of annotations or like a counterpoint or like the photo negative version of it. Like, what if living this kind of lifestyle could actually be like toxic and destructive to the people around you? And it's very funny.
It's very funny. A lot of the humor, especially if you watch it more than once, is on the endless close-ups of Matt Farley's face staring out the window, like exhausted of having to write this 1000th poop song that week.
So it's kind of his Stardust memories if Stardust memories were really self-lacerating, you know? And he insists that it's not autobiographical,
yes, at every
but also
screening,
Woody insisted Stardust memories wasn't either.
Every screening, Matt Farley, the first question is like, are you okay? And he's like, yeah, just, completely fictional. I just wanted to push it to the extreme where it could go. And yeah, it's very funny. It's available. The ones that are available, I'm going to try to say where you can get them. So you can get this one on Vimeo, and there will be an upcoming Gold Ninja Video Blu-ray of it as well.
But watch Local Legends
You got to watch Local Legends first, yes.
And then watch Local Legends Bloodbath.
Yes.
So yeah, a lot of the movies on my list I saw at film festivals, including some that I saw in 2023.
Well, la-dee-da. Oh, so you're going back and you're grabbing some from 2023.
I'm doing the rule of wide theatrical releases this year, or North American theatrical releases.
Yeah.
It's an arbitrary rule. Local Legends Bloodbath wasn't theatrically released. It played a couple theaters.
Yes.
Yeah. But
Roadshow.
Evil Does Not Exist by Ryosuke Hamaguchi, who a couple years ago did Drive My Car. This is a really beautiful film. It's about a rural village a couple hours outside Tokyo with a small, tight-knit community. A real heaven on earth that this company from the big city descends upon. And they've decided they've bought a plot of land here that they're going to turn into a glamping site. What is glamping? It is glamorous camping.
Yeah.
And this movie is about how the community reacts to that and the fact that it is basically like a fake consultation that this company is doing that's a done deal. And structurally, the movie begins by just immersing yourself in this community without really knowing what the story is. Then you get about 10 or 15 minutes of story, and then the rest of it is dealing with the implications of that story. It's paced and structured like really no other movie I've seen, and it does some incredible things with digital video. It's a very visually beautiful film and has really haunted me for a year and a half now.
Wait, does that maybe Evil does exist? I mean, you'll have to see it to find out.
Evil doesn't exist because we're all just doing our jobs.
We're all evil, just following orders, if you will. Okay, so the first one I want to talk about, I'm talking about it first because I'm a little bit on the fence with it, but I've been thinking about it a lot. And the way that it represents kind of some of the favorite things that I look for in movies, even though I'll get to it when I talk about the story and stuff. So this is a movie called Life After Fighting. It's an action film. It's also a vanity project. Ooh. Where a guy who appears in the DTV Deep Blue Sea 3, he's been in a couple Steven Seagal films. I thought he was a stunt guy. He's not. He directs. He stars. I probably choreographs as well. But what if I told you this was an earnest and actually like successful in its goals vanity basically picture? because he plays like a retired MMA fighter who now runs a local dojo. And I thought it was going to be like the complications that arise where one of his students, he starts a relationship with his mother, and the divorced dad shows up. There's conflict there. But then it spins into an almost, what was that Jim Caviezel movie?
Sound of Freedom.
Sound of Freedom, where it's like a child sex trafficking ring that our hero gets involved. It's an action film, but it really saves, they're just little bits of action until the end. And that the rest of the movie is shot like an earnest indie melodrama, like a lot of close-ups on faces. It's Australian. There's no irony. And any kind of like, oh, I want to make myself look cool is like diluted by how successful the movie is at doing it, what it's doing.
So it's good.
It's good, yes.
Yeah.
But that's why, like, I struggle with it. It's like, there's weird exploitative elements, and I was like, oh, you're not doing that. But that's what you look for in kind of vanity projects.
I mean, it's funny. A vanity project is one of those, like, I know it when I see it propositions.
Oh, you would see this when you know it.
And often, whether or not something is considered a vanity project just has to do with, like, how successfully or, you know, like Andy Warhol says, art is getting away with it. You know, so, like, what's the difference between Tommy Wiseau and Clint Eastwood sometimes?
Yeah, I think vanity project is like, oh, I should star in a movie where I'm a cool guy who fights good and maybe romances some women. But there's also other wrinkles, which like he's 49 years old and the film is all about like how you do it at this age. He's basically an Australian Scott Adkins, and the last 30 minutes of the movie is just one long fight scene in a dojo of him taking on guy after guy after guy, each fight getting progressively more violent as it goes. It's just shot really well. It's impactful. Again, this is recency bias because I did watch this recently. I saw it in a great like best action movies of 2024, like 90-minute video as I was going through. And yeah, it just grabbed me in a way that I wasn't expecting to, especially in the way that it just nails the ending. But man, when that child sex trafficking thing started, I was like, oh no, what are you doing? But you can actually watch this on Amazon. In the classic kind of vanity film way, it's just on Amazon to stream whenever you want.
Sounds great. I really want to see that. Well, I'm always happy when a great filmmaker pretty deep into their career releases one of their best movies.
Oh, who could this be?
I'm going to surprise you. Catherine Breillat.
What?
For last summer. Don't worry, we're going to get to the other one.
Him, yeah. Or her. Who knows?
Or her, yeah. This one is about an affair between a woman of a certain age and her teenage stepson. And without spoiling anything, it's about the complicated power dynamic between them. It's interested in exactly what power each of them has, and when pitted against each other, whose power is more likely to win. And when it comes to ugly and transgressive subject matter like this, you can always count on Catherine Breillat to not fall back on easy platitudes, to really roll up her sleeves and get into the muck. I found this movie really riveting. You know, it was her first film in 10 years, and I'm amazed she still has it, you know?
Nice. I mean, at that point, she'll always have it. But like her work is so difficult for general audiences that she basically needs to work on, can we get some famous person to be in these movies that allows me to make the picture?
This one was I think funded by some like eccentric guy who's funding all the late period works of all these sacred monsters.
And I'm sure that man is bad, but that's fine. If I don't know more information, ignorance is bliss, etc.
But it's like sometimes directors at this age, particularly ones who deal in like really taboo subject matter like this, sometimes they can get really ossified. Sometimes they can become less flexible.
Like I'm important, hence whatever I do matters.
Or they just become like anti-woke in a really kind of annoying way.
You know what I mean? Look what Catherine's been writing lately. Oh no!
I mean, the work speaks for itself.
Yeah. So there is a country that is represented on my list that I am shocked they appear as much as they do. But that's just a little hint there of what country could it be? I'm not going to tell. Maybe.
Is it Israel?
No. You can figure it out. Oh, it's Saudi Arabia. You got me.
Yeah.
It's mainland China. There's more mainland Chinese films on this list than I ever thought there would be. And I went on a streaming journey. I think I talked about it briefly in one of the podcasts. And there's two filmmakers that I stumbled upon, Chris Huo and Qing Peng Fei. They're both mainland Chinese filmmakers. They're somehow got enough hits in the streaming system that they're left alone to do what they want, even though there's some really funny ways that they get around censorship. For example, one that has an antisocial individual who may be a little mad, that's the protagonist. There's a final shot at the film that indicates, maybe it was all a dream. And it's like, who are you fooling? Like, who do you think you're fooling? Like, come on. But if that's how they can get away with it. So this movie, I actually watched while Emily was in labor, like in the like long 12-hour period.
She was like, Justin, please hold my
hold
hand.
me. No, it's very long.
Like, shut up. I'm trying to watch a movie.
Oh man, the Wi-Fi signal on IQI is terrible in here. This is one that I actually had learned about last summer, and this streaming landscape is so not plumbed by English language circles that there's like almost no reviews on some of these films. And at the time there was none. So I was like, no thanks. It's called Second Life, and it stars Yoon Kyu, who you may know as the landlady from Kung Fu Yoga, and Philip...
Kung Fu Hustle.
Yeah, sorry.
Freudian slip.
I'm always thinking about Kung Fu Yoga, the classic Jackie Chan film. Yes, Kung Fu Hustle. And Philip Ng, who... He plays the villain in that Kowloon City walled...
Twilight of the
Warriors walled
yeah.
city, yeah. And the plot... So this is basically a Hong Kong film, other than saying it directly. And as people who have watched it are like, yeah, it basically also takes place in Hong Kong, but it's an unnamed city. So, that's how you get around with it. And it's about a woman who she committed manslaughter and went to jail for a very long time. In jail, she gives birth. She has to give the baby away. And she gets out of jail, now an older woman, played by Yoon Kyu, and a gangster, played by Philip Ng, who has recently been blinded. Watching a lot of these movies, there's certain subjects that got popular, and there's like, I guess we're going to put blind martial artists. There's a million for them. Eye for an eye, this... there's another one with Andy On. I think it's Blind War. Anyway, so he's blind, and he's given the task to get back in the gang. He has to kill this woman to get revenge for the murder she committed earlier on. And does he pretend to be her son to get in on, close to her? Maybe. Is he really her son? That'd be really disappointing if that happens, and maybe would lead me to have a negative opinion of this movie. But so he gets together, and there's a lot of like Hong Kong style, like trying to kill her without letting her know. Is she aware of what's going on? She's also near the end. We got to later on, the melodrama starts to get dementia, so she doesn't even really know what's going on. Let me just say, it builds to an amazing climax where like, oh, how do you get like an older woman doing martial arts in a satisfying way? Well, what if you jump in between the old actor and the young actor you saw early, like just really smart filmmaking to get this all executed. This would have been like one of the better Hong Kong movies of the year, and it's like basically a Hong Kong film, except it was made for a mainland Chinese streaming service.
Cool. Well, Rap World by Connor O'Malley and Danny Scherer.
Great movie.
And what's great about this is it's about an hour long.
It's on YouTube. I think they just dropped it on YouTube, didn't they, recently?
All killer, no filler. Set in, I believe, 2008 or 2009. A mockumentary, shot in like really lo-fi digital of the era about a gang of losers and idiots making their first album. White rappers all. And
yes, if you are me and Will's age, you knew some of people like this.
Yeah.
If you are not one yourself or what?
And this has just one cut towards the end.
Yeah,
I laughed
hope people
for
don't
60 seconds.
Go looking into it because the film basically builds to this gag. Yeah. And it's so funny.
Yeah, and I know that Rob Reiner is currently shooting This Is Spinal Tap 2.
Yeah.
And to that I say we already have it.
It's called Rap World. Yeah, we got it.
Don't do it.
God, speaking of people that are ossified.
I hate that guy. No, I don't hate him. He's just...
Do you think he has one more in him?
No. He hasn't for 30 years.
So
why would he start now?
I'm surprised Christopher Guest isn't directing This Is Spinal Tap.
No, he's in it though. You know what I think about Spinal Tap 2?
They hate each other too.
Probably, yeah.
Oh, they famously. Oh, you mean the normally calm and collected Harry Shearer? Oh yeah, he gets along with all the guys.
Maybe if they shoot 90 hours of footage, they'll manage to get 70 good minutes.
Rob
I don't know.
Reiner is an older man. He doesn't have the energy to do that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Do you want to cry, Will? Do you want to watch a movie that'll make you very sad?
Depends.
So this title makes it sound like it's a wacky Adam Sandler comedy. How to Make $1 Million Before Grandma Dies. This is a Thai movie, but what's interesting about it is it's a Thai film with a Chinese generational family. So basically, like, a grandmother is given a fatal cancer diagnosis, and her grandson decides, okay, if I get close to her, she will put me as the like main receivee of any money that she has, and they believe she has millions of dollars that she's been hiding and hasn't been using forever. Again, sounds like a wacky, goofy premise. It is not. It is like lightly comic, but it's mostly closer to the Anne Hoy film A Life, if you will. With, I think,
A Simple Life.
A Simple Life, yes.
Right.
With a little bit more kind of like commercial gloss over it. Like, I was watching it and it was kind of so straightforward. The film stars an older woman. She's 78 years old who has never acted in her life, which means you're going to get that purity to all the scenes that she's in. Her grandson is also just like a TV actor who did just a few roles. This is, I believe, his first movie role. And it's all like locked off cameras. Like the scenes often play in one go of stuff going on. Very simple stuff. And I'm watching it. I'm like, we're 45 minutes in. I haven't shed a tear yet. Where are you going to get me? The last half hour is like someone like punching you and be like, cry, cry, cry. Every scene. When this film played in theaters, some distributors handed out like tissues before you went in because they know what they're doing. And it gets you. Great movie. Highly recommend it. It played in theaters in Toronto very briefly.
Really?
Yeah, but it had a like very generic, it's just like the grandson and like his grandmother just sitting there, and it says like how to make $1 million before grandma dies. I was like, oh, is this like some goofy mainland Chinese comedy?
Yeah, how did you find out about this?
I have my ways. Does that mean that I literally look through lists of movies released by country and I go, I haven't heard of this. Let's check it out.
Oh man, this is next level cinephilia.
Oh, I have a few more that you're like, we've never even talked about a movie from that area of the country before. So,
well, from the sublime to the ridiculous, I really had a good time at the Pee Pee Poo Poo Man. Have you seen that one?
I have not.
That is a local production, very loosely inspired by a real crime spree of a few years ago.
Wasn't it executive produced by Impossible Horror's own Nathaniel Wilson?
Yes, that's right. There are other people who you may know who were in the movie getting not me, unfortunately, but lots.
Did they ask?
No. But that's fine.
Yeah,
that's fine. I'm not sure I would have wanted to.
No,
anyway.
I don't think you would have wanted that either.
Would I have said yes? Yes, I would have.
You would have. Yeah, you want to be part of the cool kids who are much younger than you.
Well, of course, yeah. No, but no, I enjoy this movie a lot. It is, again, loosely inspired by a crime spree that happened in the city of a guy with a big bucket of shit and piss that he was throwing on people. And
the movie is basically just people getting shit and piss thrown on them.
Yes. Interspersed throughout between a lot of scenes of kind of online brain rot. It is a movie very much about living in the current moment. All that stuff, feeling the future foreclosed on you, feeling Epstein pilled and red pilled and whatever pilled, not knowing what to do, and so taking a big bucket of shit and piss and throwing it on people. And I laughed and I laughed and I laughed some more.
Yeah, if you like that joke,
it's
never going to get old.
Funny. So definitely worth seeking out.
So let me get back to that Chinese streaming land, which I mentioned in passing, Quing Peng Fei. He's an action choreographer turned into a director, and he released, I think, 3 or 4 movies in 2024 alone. But I think the highlight of them is Blade of Fury. It's a wuxia, so kind of like wire assistant swordsman. It's very violent in the way that it's executed, and it's also inspired by spaghetti western. So it has like a spaghetti western score, has a great lead performance. It's a little like, I find that the streaming mainland action movies are so disjointed in a way that can only be like compromise. He directed another film this year called Black Storm, which I really liked, which is like a modern day set, like serious martial arts film.
But disjointed in what way?
Storytelling wise.
Oh, I see.
In that like the protagonist will leave for like 30 minutes and you're like, where did they go? Like, what's going on? Or like, just like the storytelling beats feel almost by committee at times, even when the authorial voice is as strong as in Blade of Fury. Now, I'm not talking about the Sammo Hung Blade of Fury. I'm talking about the one from 2024.
Everybody listening was saying, what about the Sammo Hung Blade of Fury?
It's the one where they're on the whale, right? And like, no. This is a spaghetti western, desert-based swordsman one. This is what you want from these kind of action movies where like each villain has a different gag. Oh no, there's a big tall guy and a little guy and they fight together. Like, that's what you want from these films. It just, even though I said it's disjointed, this one out of all the ones that I watched this year ends in the most satisfying way. It has a story that is the most kind of like, oh yeah, I enjoy this. And I regret to inform you though that these streaming films are so popular that they're beginning to create a shared universe in between all of these. So that blind swordsman I mentioned from Eye for an Eye, he gets an end tag in this movie of like, I gotta kill the protagonist of Blade of Fury.
Now I understand that China also has its own version of geezer teasers, like
oh yeah,
you and Biao type movies that they make today.
Yeah, they're not good though. Yeah.
I guess I was just wondering if you'd seen any.
I probably have, and I'm like, oof, rough. Maybe an exploration of like, hey, what are they up to?
Chinese geezer teasers?
Yeah.
Let's do it. Let's do an episode.
The problem is the movies are not good.
Yeah, that's fine.
I mean, basically Donnie Yen is in that zone now, but his film is getting released in theaters. And me and Will, we're gonna go. So these two movies you can actually watch on IQIYE. It's like a Netflix streaming service. It's huge in mainland China. They do have English subtitles, and there's an option I've never seen anywhere else where you can submit changes to the subtitles if you want. And to that I have to say, that's your job, guys. Why are you making us do it? Oh, I also want to mention, these films are interesting because they're doing something that was a big no-no in Chinese films before, is that you cannot have individual heroes. That it needs to be groups.
And that was a relatively brief period of like after Wolf Warrior.
Wolf Warrior 2. They were like, hey, we want to make Wolf Warrior 3. And they were like, no.
And Wolf Warrior 2, was that not retitled Wolf Warriors?
Oh, was it?
Yeah, I thought I heard that. I don't know.
That's why you have like...
Sorry if I'm doing Western Imperial propaganda by saying that. I don't mean to.
That's why you have like a Battle of Lake, the Choi Hark movie. It has like a giant group, or Zhang Yimou Snipers is like a gang of people the entire time.
Wow. I'll tell you, I wish we could get some of their electric cars over here.
Or some of those phones. They seem really good.
God damn. Sorry. Keep
Oh, wait, what's this? I just got a red envelope full of money for the recommendations of the movies. I should say this on the podcast.
I have a movie that I just watched today, so this is very serious recency bias.
This one's on my list too.
But I had a little. Well, actually, it might be different. It's A Different Man. Have you heard of this one?
I haven't seen that. I wanted to watch it. Yeah,
by Aaron Schimberg. I really enjoyed this movie. Sebastian Stan plays an aspiring actor who has, a severe facial abnormality, who is tired of being gawked at, tired of being laughed at, tired of being bullied. So he undergoes this extreme surgery to make him look like Sebastian Stan.
Yeah. So like Mo in that episode of The Simpsons.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Exactly. Things start going well for him, but then all of a sudden, at the play that he's acting in, another guy comes in trying to take his role, played by Adam Pearson. You may remember this actor because he was in Under the Skin, the Jonathan Glazer film.
He was in this filmmaker's films previously.
Chained for Life as well. Somebody who actually does have a real life physical abnormality.
I can't believe I haven't seen this film. Like, this filmmaker, he named his movie Chained for Life. He knows what he's doing, like the previous one.
Yeah, absolutely. And basically, this movie is quite a bit like The Substance. And I like it so much better than The Substance. I feel like it really knows what it's doing about,
Also, it's directed by men.
That's right. Yeah. But in its commentary on beauty standards and its commentary on self-hatred, essentially it's a movie about how, much more important than, arbitrary beauty standards is swag. And, if you have swag, that's everything. And so it's really funny. And there's a gag early on. Somebody says to Sebastian Stan that he looks like Woody Allen. And by the end of the movie, he's wearing a bucket hat and he's and it's not commented on.
Oh, that's so funny. Yeah. So I was at the Fantasia Film Festival when the director's film Go Down Death premiered. And I remember him being in the lobby 2013-ish. And he was like, oh, no one's coming to the screening. It's okay. We got. He was with his partner at the time, and I remember being like, that's what it feels like to be a filmmaker, and no one's coming to your screening. And look at him now.
He's doing fine.
Yeah, he's doing fine. Hey, how about you throw a bone to your old pal Justin, who came to the premiere of your first feature film?
Yeah.
So one movie that's on my list, it's on everybody's list. I saw the TV Glow, and this movie, everyone has probably listening to this has seen it.
Well, I only saw it today. I did a double feature with that and A Different Man, and I liked it.
I think what I found so interesting about it is that it speaks directly to not specifically to people like me, but people of a particular kind of like, you grew up right here. This represents something to you. And I did not know what the plot of the film was, so I was genuinely surprised to where it went and what its end goal is, which is basically a scare film for the people watching it.
Yeah, it has a little bit of Videodrome in it. It's about these two outsider teens who may or may not be transgender, but they both bond over this like schlocky kids show.
It's like a Canadian version of Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
They bond over it really strongly, but one of them feels that they are getting subliminal messages from it, and the other one doesn't want to believe they're getting subliminal
Yes.
messages.
I just like the narrative kind of conceit of this film and the way that it proceeds. Like I was like, oh, this is what they're doing, and the way that through like voiceover narration, it compresses life into like, yeah, and then this happened, this big traumatic event, and then life goes on after that.
Yeah, you know, for the first 30 minutes, it was having trouble getting its tenterhooks into me because I was looking at it and it's like, oh, it's another one of these A24 movies with
Yes.
the neon and all that.
Yep.
But by the end of it, I was very moved by it. And it moves at a particular pace that after a while, like really starts to envelop you, I found.
Do you have 10 or should I burn some off early on?
I don't even know if I have 10. I think I have maybe one or two more I can talk
All
about.
right.
Go ahead.
I'll drop 2 right here. One of the ones that I really enjoyed. And so if people are like, well, that's not the best movie of this year. You know, with my list, I like variety, especially if people are like, I've never heard of that before. This is a 2024 Sundance darling, which means that it came out and no one ever heard about it again, called Kneecap. Have you heard of this one?
No.
It is an Irish film about a real life. I mean, this should hit your 24-17 to Paris vibes because it's
15-17 to Paris.
That's how much
fucking
of it.
dare you.
You know what? I know what it is, and I didn't want to say it. It's about a trio of rappers who decided to rap in Irish, and what it means to rap in Irish, what it means to be like still occupied by Britain, and all the real life rappers play themselves in the movie, and it's filled with great music. It's definitely like Guy Ritchie, Danny Boyle. I'm a music video director making my first film.
Is it funny?
It's very funny. And something really funny about it is, man, drugs look awesome in this movie. Because, like, they rap about drugs. Michael Fassbender is in it. And you're like, where's Michael Fassbender been?
Wait till you see what drugs are like in real life. Even better.
No. And, like, the whole conceit is that, like, they're rapping about Irish identity in Irish. And that, like, police don't like it. But neither do the kind of people that are trying to lift up the Irish identity because they believe that they're demeaning it by tying it to like drugs and like basically hood culture. Anyway, really funny, really fun. As a Franco-Ontarian fighting every day for my own representation under the heel of, who am I under the heel of?
Well, the man.
Yeah.
You know?
Trudeau. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's get in our truck and
Even though
start
that
honking.
people are like, hey, you're from Canada, right? Oh, you speak French as your first language? You're from Quebec? And I was like, no, I'm from Ontario. Franco-Ontario flag.
Just a little bit west of Quebec.
Actually, Irish colors. It's white and green. So I saw myself in this film. So this film is weird. Like, it got picked up for a lot of money. You'll see a bunch of interviews. But like, I don't know if no one cared or they thought it was too inflammatory, which is, come on, it's a very slick movie with like a, pull for the heartstrings. But I'm surprised it just kind of like fell through the cracks. It's on Netflix in the US, but not Netflix in Canada. So it's clearly stuck in some kind of like weird distribution thing. Wait, so I have another one because I have a few more than Will.
Well, I'll tell you a movie that I saw myself represented in, which was Oh Canada by Paul Schrader.
Oh, yeah.
Another movie about...
Wait, do you see yourself as the...
a man who everybody thinks is great, but in reality is actually a monster who has left a trail of broken hearts and hurt in his wake.
So the great thing about Oh Canada... The thing I love the most about it is that the goal is a Shaggy Dog story. That's the whole point of the movie. That it's like a character portrait, and like it's about someone being interviewed. Richard Gere is being interviewed in the present, and they keep going like, "Can we get to the stuff like the filmmaking?" And it's like, "We'll get there. Spoiler alert: they never get there, and that's the point of the whole film.
Yeah, absolutely.
I loved it. I thought,
I think there's an open question that the movie leaves about like, okay, like is his art, his documentary,
is it worth it?
Yeah, and is it completely fraudulent?
Yeah,
knowing about this, I know that Schrader himself thinks that. It is.
Really? He said that.
He said, but I don't agree with him, frankly. But I think the movie leaves open the question.
That's really Schrader looking at his own past and being like, my movies are shit. I'm a bad person.
Yeah, it seems like it.
Another good thing is like, I say it's a character study. It is, but you never even really get, you're like, but why did he do the things that he's like, you're not going to learn.
Yeah.
It's impossible to know a person in that way. All right. So another movie that I'd like to recommend. This one is like a smaller film. And by smaller, it's still 2+ hours. That's right. It's an Indian film, but it's not a masala picture. And it's in black and white. And it's a horror picture. And it's a Malayalam movie in that language, which they come out every now and then, but they never get the attention of like Telugu or Tamil or Hindi. This is definitely A24 coded in the like black and white, very low key, unshowy. And it's a film about a guy basically gets lost in the woods, comes up on a giant rotting temple, and there's a guy there who is actually played by a like superstar of that film industry, Mammootty, of course, being, you know, ignorant Westerners.
Do they credit him as superstar Mammootty?
They do not. There is no musical numbers in this film, and it's all like very kind of like Lighthouse coded, the Robert Eggers film,
right,
without the like outright wackiness, but it's like very like rural, in your face. There's no like big gore or any big set pieces. It's just like the get under your skin thing. And this film was a massive hit, like huge, to the point that it started the filmmaker who had made one previous horror film. He started like a horror kind of like production company, and they're going to go from there making more horror films. And what's really funny about a movie like this is that like, oh, I've never heard about it. And you look and it has like 87,000 logs, but nobody that you follow has watched it.
Right.
So check that one out. That one is a little harder to find. I don't think it's on any streaming service, which is surprising because usually they go like right to like Netflix or Amazon. It may be like stuck in some very specific like streaming service of that area that you can probably access, but I didn't see it on Letterboxd, which if people don't have that activated, you can activate like what streaming services the movies are available. It's very helpful. So in that movie again, and I butchered it the first time I said it. It's Bra Mayugam. I mean, it's 2 hours and 20 minutes. That's like 70 minutes in like Indian cinema time. So whenever it gets available, check it out. I don't know why. So keep your eye out on it, and keep your eye out for the filmmaker Rahul Sadasivan.
One last movie that I want to highlight, Juror Number 2 by Mr.
Love it. It's on my list too.
Oh, I'm glad.
So I was making fun of Will. He's like, oh, Juror Number 2. I was like, Juror Number 2. Of course it's on your list. Then I watched it and I was like, you know what? He's right. It's great.
Yeah, thank you.
Clint's got it.
Very entertaining movie.
Yep.
Hard to predict.
Very hard to predict.
And by the end, I think it raises some interesting questions about what it means to be good, how possible it is to be good.
Is this Clint Eastwood's O Canada? Is he reflected in this character?
I feel like he's been making his O Canada for
since Unforgiven.
30 years. Yeah.
More than...
And I think he ultimately comes on the idea that it's very hard to be good, but we know when we've been bad, and it will haunt us.
And like, what can you do?
Yeah.
Like, the character in this movie is stuck in such an impossible situation. He gets bad advice. That's what I say.
Yeah. And, you know, there's no one else like Clint Eastwood for the weird way in his recent movies. He mixes naturalism with really kind of exaggerated stuff. So, like, the scenes with the jury, who are this, like, incredibly exaggerated cross-section of America.
Character actor than the next.
Yeah, and they're all speaking like a different niche segment of America. Or the scenes where the two lawyers are sort of debating to each other as if in a Socratic dialogue about
yeah. So
it works though.
So this movie, you know? I was watching and I was like, no, Clint, no, because it seems that he's going down like a Richard Jewell path, right, of demonizing a certain figure, but it's actually the opposite in the movie. And I was like, you nailed it, Clint.
Yeah, I think the turn this movie takes is very clever. So I recommend this even to the Clint skeptics.
Yeah, I think that this is...
Which is you.
Yeah, well, I'm not a Clint skeptic. I'm a new Clint skeptic.
Yeah.
Because I see the movies. I have eyes. I actually have one more movie here on my list, but there's some that I wanted to mention that they're like, why didn't that one make your list, Justin? Didn't you love that movie? Like Hundreds of Beavers. That movie technically came out 2 years ago. I think it was on my list last year. I probably mentioned it because it's screened like publicly, and I wanted.
Here's what I think, Justin. It's good to acknowledge that, but I think we shouldn't mention any honorable mentions because and just leave people with the mystery.
No, I know you don't like it, but I am like a fountain wanting people
give the glad hand,
because like you also saw. Did it play? It played last year at TIFF, not this year. It was 100 Yards. The martial arts.
I liked 100 Yards, which is a really good like old school kind of martial arts movie. Nice long takes of people fighting.
I think it's more complicated than like it seems because you'll be like, what is going on?
Starring some billionaire's son, or not a billionaire, a member of
assumedly
a legitimate businessman's son.
Hey. Listen to these movies I recommend. I can't ruffle these feathers.
Hey, listen, all I know is this legitimate businessman's son has some moves.
Yeah, very charismatic. He was in the maybe last Johnny To film, which rules, but has never gotten anything but like a Chinese streaming release, Chasing Dream, which mixes mixed martial arts as well as like American Idol-esque singing because it's two competitions going on at once. And the main guy in it, Jackie Hung. Yeah, he's the son of Charles Hung, the legitimate businessman.
Of course, yeah,
who,
famous.
Who is Chowing Fat's sidekick in the God of Gambler films.
Every Chinese movie star and Hong Kong movie star has worked with him at some point.
Yeah, has owed Charles Hung a favor, if you will.
Right.
You will be shocked to learn that the last film I'm going to recommend is from mainland China.
I mean,
it's not a streaming film, though, and I'm surprised that you haven't seen it. Even though that, like, I was watching this, and I thought in my head, I don't think Will can watch this movie. And I'll tell you why.
Okay.
It's called Black Dog, and it's about a guy and his dog, and the dog may be a whippet.
Oh, what a sweetie. He's showing me a picture. Oh,
Yeah.
my goodness.
And it's about...
Does harm befall the dog?
You know what? You have to see the movie to find out.
All right.
It is one of the most expansive Chinese movies I've seen in a long time. Like, it's set in the desert. The premise is a guy gets out of jail, and he goes back to his small town, which is kind of fallen apart, and is overwhelmed with stray dogs. The Olympics are coming. There's factories that need to be built. They got to get all these stray dogs out of there. Does he create perhaps a relationship with one of those dogs? Perhaps the black dog of the title? Yes. Something wild about this movie is that, remember Zhang Yimou made that film that was like, the joy of 35 millimeter.
Oh,
1 second.
Yeah, 1 second. I liked that one. Yeah.
Black Dog is shot on film. So
Whoa.
they can still do it in China. It's shot on like grainy 35 millimeter the entire time.
Oh, incredible.
And the director Guang Hu is someone I had not been familiar with, but you look at his filmography and he's playing the game right. The film he made before this was The 800. You could probably take a guess of what that movie is about. Is the cover like a guy like waving a flag as a big battle goes on behind him? Yep, that's right. And maybe that was enough of a success to get him the cachet to be like, I want to shoot on film. It's like a 160-minute epic. There's almost no dialogue in the film. A lot of like long shots, just like following the first shot of the movie, and it's just like the movie like going, this is what I am. It's like a big shot of a desert, and then like hundreds of dogs go streaming down a mountain and get in front of a truck that swerves and flips in one shot. So very impressive, emotional. Sounds like a trite story, but check it out, because I don't know if I saw a lot of people recommending this one.
Oh, speaking of whippets, I'll just throw in a recommendation for a local film I saw a couple weeks ago that I quite liked called The Heirloom. Have you heard of this one?
No.
It was by Ben Petrie, stars him and Grace Glowicki, who play sort of versions of themselves. It's about a couple in their early 30s, a creative couple who rescue a whippet, get a rescue dog, and this whippet becomes a sort of locus for many of the issues in their relationship. He's an aspiring filmmaker, and he decides to make a documentary film about this dog.
Yeah.
And essentially it's a couple having a, I don't know if you call it like a third life crisis or an early midlife crisis.
Quarter life crisis?
Well, it's after a quarter life
Yeah.
crisis.
Well, maybe they'll live a very short amount of time.
Like a 33 years old-ish type crisis. And I certainly found things to identify with in here. And it's very funny as well.
I'll have to
I don't
check
know
it out.
where, if anybody
if it's
can
gonna be
find
released,
it.
yeah.
Where I saw it at the Carlton and I liked it.
Oh, so it got like a, you know why? Because they were doing for the Canadian Screen Awards, you need to play like a certain amount of like theaters, which is probably why I show. I haven't been to the Carlton in so long. That's even my go-to movie theater.
I love the Carlton. I don't go there much either.
Do you know that the Imagine Market Square cinemas, they still have $5 Tuesdays?
I know.
And that the screen is brighter than any screen in town because they're run by the people who run the Indian cinema, the Albion.
Oh, nice.
So they have like great, the seats are so comfy. They're all like recliners and not like shitty, like chain theater recliners, but like ones that it feels like they picked them up at Lazy Boy.
You know, the Carlton is where I saw Sound of Freedom, which was the perfect place to see it because it feels like you're like in a real hole in the wall. Like it feels grimy and gross. So what better place to see that movie, which was not on my list last year.
One other movie that I believe was on my list 2 years ago, but is finally available now, and Will can finally watch it if he hasn't yet, is Terry Chu's Open Doom Crescendo.
I ordered it from Golden Ninja Video.
Yeah, it hasn't come yet. It's weird.
It should be coming in the mail anytime soon. Yeah.
They're going out.
Yeah.
If you're wondering, hey, Golden Ninja Video hasn't released anything in an entire year. What's going on? Open Doom Crescendo. It's 3 hours.
Okay.
It took that long to put together. There is 8 hours of stuff on the third disc of the movie.
All right. Well, I'm excited to work with you on another project soon.
Oh, we're going to do it. It's going to, Golden Ninja Video is going back to monthly. It has to. So get monthly and not 2 a month, which is too much.
Justin has a child now, so let's make some money.
Yeah, that's. I thought you were gonna say, take it easy, Justin. No, the opposite. I gotta. Man, those diapers, I can't reuse them. What's going on?
That's fucked up.
But yeah, Open Doom Crescendo, a 3-hour epic that Terry Chu spent years of his life making, and you haven't really seen anything like it.
And on a budget of dozens of dollars.
Oh, yeah. He spent no money. Shot it on, I think, a T2i Canon, which I shot Teddy Bomb on. Oh, I just remember when I said, ugh, a movie about making a documentary, and then I glanced over to the Impossible Horror poster, and I went, oh, yeah. So, you know what? Heirloom, you're a winner in my book. But yeah, Open Doom Crescendo, I got to say, you got to get the DVD because it has one of the most tense moments I've ever had on a commentary. That's all I'll say. Do I reference the Limey commentary track where Steven Soderbergh and the screenwriter Lem Dobbs fight with each other? Yes, I do, in the middle of it. But then it calms down, and we all talk for 3 hours over the movie. So check it out. And this is a movie that, like, your friends don't know about this. So you get it, and you can show it to your friend. Be like, especially if they're like, you know, experimental or interested in outsider stuff. Like Terry Chu, this is the thing. I met him this week, and I was talking to him about it. I'm like, I don't understand how you're not more popular. You don't have like more of a cult following than you do, because he's so idiosyncratic. He has now 2 feature films under his belt that are rough around the edges, but no one else is doing what he's doing, which is just like the frustration of like what it takes to get, you know, enough attention for it to be able to spread.
I mean, I love Mango Shake.
Yeah,
and
I know.
I feel like anybody would.
Yeah, like Mango Shake, very approachable. I really love it too. Open Doom Crescendo, a little bit tougher, but I think that like if giving it the time to watch it, you'll probably get into it. Also, it has burnt in subtitles, the entire movie, that have, is it traditional or simplified Chinese subtitles and then English subtitles underneath, as if you're watching like a VCD with the subtitles burnt in.
What a madman.
Yep. The Open Doom Crescendo, which you can pick up at goldninjavideo.com.
Well, you know, I said I hate this episode every year, but I had a great time on this one. I feel like an incredible cross-section of movies. Lots of stuff.
Oh, wait, my number one, Megalopolis. That's my favorite movie.
Megalopolis, yeah. Donald Trump could not make this movie.
Actually, we did talk about Megalopolis on a Patreon. If you're not on there, that's a fiery episode. I think we recorded it like almost the next day after we saw it.
Yeah.
We were like slamming on desks and stuff.
I mean, if we were ranking like great experiences, seeing Megalopolis at the IMAX.
But just the interview at the beginning.
Yeah.
And then if it just ended, that would have been...
It was sold out. Probably the only time that it was ever sold out. And just like the whole city seemed to be there. And we were all having fun watching Robert De Niro and Spike Lee interview Francis Ford Coppola. Oh, with Dennis Lim also.
Yeah, get nothing out of him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Robert De Niro, the famously worst interview ever, who has nothing to do with Megalopolis other than being at like a script reading or decades ago, is like, yeah, I don't really have any answers.
It was great seeing Megalopolis in that context because Coppola talked a lot, and some of the things he said were good, and some of the things he said were bad.
He's a real like Coppola in that context, like a real wind up. Like you've heard these answers.
Yeah, but it was like stream of consciousness from him, and that helped prepare me for what Megalopolis would be, which was the stream of consciousness ideas of an old man with a lot of freedom and a lot of money.
Yes, no one's telling him no.
Yeah,
or maybe you should rethink this.
Yeah.
So that has been our best of 2024. What is your best of 2024? Let us know in the Discord. Don't send it to us directly. We won't read it.
No. And before we go, on January 14th, we have a screening. We have a screening series.
It'll be your best movie of the year.
Oh, yeah. We have a screening series at the Fox Theater in Toronto. Important Cinema Club Masterpiece Classics. We've done a bunch of screenings. They've all gone great, and this one's going to go great, too. We're showing Jess Franco's Bloody Moon, his slasher film from 1980. This was the prolific Spanish auteurs' attempt to cash in on the Friday the 13th Halloween slasher phenomenon. It is crazy.
It may be a little weird.
It's dreamlike. It's in that beautiful pleasure center where bad meets good. And
it's a delight.
And how many times have you seen Jess Franco on the big screen?
Whew.
This is a big theater.
Yeah, it is a big theater that will feel even more cavernous based on the people that show up.
Well,
make it feel small. Pack it to the gills.
That's right. Pack it to the gills. But come on out. We're going to introduce it. We're going to give away prizes. Yep. We're going to have a zine.
A little zine. You can buy some Gold Ninja Video stuff while you're there. Is there exclusive Gold Ninja Video stuff that's only available at the screenings? Maybe. I can't get rid of these Three Stooges Blu-rays.
What about the Blu-ray that went out of print recently? Can we give that away?
I will neither confirm nor deny if maybe a few copies of that may slip onto the table.
Right. So next week on the podcast, every year around this time, a bunch of things go into the public domain. This year is no exception. We are going to be talking about public domain class of 2025.
Are we sticking only to 2025, or can we make this a general discussion about public domain?
Oh, we could. That's funny. I was thinking that we might watch like the Coconuts and All Quiet on the
we'll only
Western
watch
Front.
the ones that are in public domain now. So
Yeah.
the Coconuts, All Quiet on the Western Front. Is there any other heavy hitters?
Let me see. There's the Skeleton Dance.
Oh yeah,
that's
we've seen
short.
that.
Yeah, I mean, we'll take a look at the list. Those are the two big ones, I think. But
Are we the film podcast that talk the most about the public domain? We love it and what it represents.
I love the public domains. It's where I like to live.
So that's what we'll be doing
Oh,
next.
Un Chien Andalou is public domain this year.
Wow.
I thought it was already, but you
Yeah,
know.
I thought it was already as well.
Yeah.
Popeye's in public domain, but only the comic version of Popeye.
Popeye with the spinach is not public domain.
Is not public domain. So it's like, you're making a Wizard of Oz film? You can't have those ruby slippers in them. Those are owned by MGM.
That's right.
But you know what? People, they don't actually care, and they'll just do their own Popeye stuff.
Oh shit, is the Broadway Melody in public domain?
Is
That's
it?
1929.
Oh, yeah, then it probably is, because it's 1929.
Wow.
So many good movies. Man, fuck Sonny Bono and his extension of copyright.
Well,
he's dead now.
Yep.
The tree
He
did
died
it.
horribly.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But like, what was the original? I mean, we'll talk about it in the episode. I don't remember what it is off the top of my head, because now it's I think in Canada for like written works, it's like 70 plus the death of the author plus 70.
Well, these movies are 95 years old,
Yes,
which is nuts.
nuts. Yeah. That's wild. But listen, I want the Popeye estate to get the money that they deserve at this point.
It's going to be interesting when 10 years from now, Superman starts going in public domain and Batman, you know?
Yes, but that will only, and DC and them are either going to get it extended. I'm glad that
Is Superman our next Mickey Mouse?
that in the US that they have great things in place right now that won't happen. Oh no! Or that the churn is so much now of people that work that are in charge of that they don't care about the long-term goal of having to kind of like make sure that things don't go in public domain. And I mean, the Batman and Superman, so Superman won't be able to fly for many years.
That's right.
And Batman has probably got none of the stuff that I'm trying to think of.
Not Robin, not the Joker.
No Joker. Yeah. You're going to have to wait for that to go finally into public domain. But, it'll be interesting when it comes out. So that's what we're doing next week. And until then, my name's Justin DeClue.
I'm Will Sloan.
Thanks for listening. As per usual, I'm going to now read every single current Patreon subscriber's name. So, buckle in. And this year, I'm doing it alphabetically. So if you just want to hear me say your name, you can find it a little bit easier. So let's get started with A Good Boy, Avok Robot, AJ Serrano, Akinsa, Aaron Dawson, Aaron Hulsey, Abe Braun, Adam Bonfanti, Adam Frost-Venrick, Adam Nab, Adam Malek, Adam Rab, Adam Roberts, Adam W., Adam Walters, Adrian, Azerbad Sinleyvale, A Hack Fraud, Aylin O'Dalling, AJ, AJS 124, Akira Honda, Alana Gibson, Albert Davis, Alec Thomas, Alex Abbott, Alex Cameron, Alex Gillerin, Alex Griffith, Alex Hardesty, Alex Hecht, Alex Hobbs, Alex Honeydew, Alex Jasson, Alex Kinzel, Alex Laird, Alex Lines, Alex Sinesi, Alex Turner, Alex Walsh, Alex Wilson, Alexander Werford, Alex S. Nelson, Ali Fornias, Ali Quadir, Almasi CR, Amar Desse, American Arts and Culture Review. Amy, Anders Bosca, Anderson, Andrew Broughton, Andrew Croucher, Andrew K. Bird, Andrew Knight, Andrew Knox, Andrew Nabaum, Andrew Lincoln, Andrew M., Andrew McClure, Andrew Stecker, Andy Warhol, Annette, Anthony, Anton Person Flygare, Apple Ventus, April, Eric Mack, Ari Rosner, Eris, Aromel Ray Donovan, Ashley Naftool, Ethan Levaditis, Austin Alderman, Austin S., Austin T. George, Axel Steele, Bart Howe, Battleground Productions, BDA, Bekzin Sarsenbayev, Ben Bates, Ben Borchard, Ben Downey, Ben Goldberg, Ben Hartman, Ben Nadeau, Benjamin Asprey, Benjamin Sacasio, Benjamin Vaughn, Benjamin Watcham, Benjamin Woodard, Benji Dog, Benny Morderchowitz, Benoit Le Cenobit, Big Lou, Big Nick 69, Bilbro T. Baggins, Billy Jackson, BK, parenthesis, KGH, Bleach, Blitzball Apologist, B-Men, Bongo Fury, Borja Perez, Bradley Dixon, Bram Ryder, Brendo, Brandon Bowler, Brandon Lim, Branson Reese, Braden Benham, Bren Aduz, Brendan White, Brendan Murray, Brent Oliver, Brian Bucknell, Broken Flowers 20, Brarson, Brian Clarkson, Brian Dembinski. This is the first one that was all in caps. Bryce Jones, Buck Bloomingdale, Bert, Buzzkill Squad, Byron, C. Puffer, Kalen Penny, Caleb Clements, Cam Ainsworth, Cameron Dog, Cameron Gunn, Cameron McNutt, Captain Camomile, Carl Fitz, Carlos Ramirez, Casey Moore, CB, CF, Cham Ferguson, Charles Smar, Charles F, Charlie Roxburgh. Oh, the director of Don't Let the River Beast Get You. Chase East, Chase Zhu, Chaz Pofall, Chris Burbe, Chris C, Chris Chan, Chris Gillen, Chris H, Chris Mauberly, Chris Sherman, Chris Swalje, Chris Valone, Chris Showmiel, Christian Helgeson, Christian Schrader, Christian Thorby, Christian Cree, Christopher Baum, Christopher Geary, Christopher Luke, Christopher Nicalstro, Christopher Polchin, Christopher Salt, Christopher Small, Kieran Judge, Cineclub Podcast, CJ Fusco, CJack 47, Clay Thibodeau, Clayton Flesher, Clayton Smith, Clint Isinger, Cobra Jones, Cody Johnson, Cole Flowers, Cole Kirkendall, Cole Smith, Colin Breen, Colin Erner, Colin Griffiths, Colin Leadbeater, Con Mann, Connor Habib, Connor Mihan, Connor Willingham, Connor White, Conrad Falco, Corman's Inferno, Country Restroom, Craig Crapmaster, Chris Luzwick, Curtis Luciani, CWW, D, lowercase d. Damon Shanks, Dan Bowling, Dan Dillon, Dan Erdman, Dan L, Dan Port, Dan Spaventa, Dan Watkins, Dan Young, Daniel Acosta, Daniel Benoit, Daniel Champion, Daniel Demois, Daniel Hansen, Daniel Jordan, Daniel Kane, Daniel Lipinski, Daniel Leary, Daniel Nelson, Daniel Nichols, Daniel Owens, Daniel Reiferscheid, Daniel Ross, Danica Delmore, Daft, Dario, Darius Jonish, Daryl Atkinson, Dave Shaw, Dave Wright, David Annandale, David B. Hobbs, David Bertrand, David Bierling, David Bridger, David Cahill, David Dean, David Everett, David Greighton, David Hamilton Smith, David Katz, David McCarrison, David Munchrath, David Monk, David Petticore, David Roberts, David Soul, David Springfield, David Wynn, Declan Harzum, Denise Filion, Dennis Rowland, Derek Schultz, Devo, parentheses, not the band, Dylan, Demetrius Kontagiath, Dimitri Kontogianis, I tried. Dom Sinicola, Don Picton, Don Smorgsma, Donald Patterson, Douglas, Scoop Reinhardt, Dove Sounds, Dr. William Rosno, oh, the first doctor, Drew Cohn, DS, Duncan McFarlane, Dustin Eisman, Dylan Harrington, Dylan Huang, Dylan Mayer, Dylan Mum, Eamon Kenny, Echo, Ed Begley Jr., Einar Einarsson, Eirik Kosh Oosterud, EJ, E. Kendall, Eleanor, Elliot Burrows, Elliot Jones, Elliot Schugel, Elsie Lewison, Emalco, Emil Dirks, Emmanuel Ordonez Angulo, Emmett Crudas, Eric Hefter, Eric Hilliker, Eric Marchin, Eric the Bed Humper, Eric Drelinsky, Erica, Eric Ward, Eric Applin, Eric Jarvis, Aaron Whitley, Esser Phallic, etc., etc. That's actually the name. Ethan Cartwright, Ethan Johnson, Etienne Crepeau, Evan Andrews, Evan Ballard, Dalrymple, Evan Furness, Evan Gordon, Evan Jones, Evan Laffer, Evan W., Fall of Capitalism, ASMR, Phantomos, Ferris Zaki, Farttown, Fiji Mermaid, Fiona Lemon, Flern Dip, Fletcher Dowell, Florian Weigel, Foldable Lemons, Fox Burdens, Franz Ever, Francine Nilsson, Frank Ritz, Frank Stock, Franco Rizzo, Fraser Whip, Fred Horton, Freya, or Fran, Fulton Collins, Gabe Steller, Gabriel Bath, Galen Wilson, Gailey Fraun, Gamera Sanders, Garris Marley, Garris Pashley, Garlic Fred, Garrett Frazen, Gary John, GC Wolfman, Ow! Genka, Jeffrey McPhail, Jeff Wood Jones, George Johnson, George Shaw, Giallo Zilla, Giant Gorilla, huh? Glenn Del Rossi, Glintz, Gloomy Cleric, GMS, Graham, Grant Basho, Grant McAllister, Grant Wishes, Grayson Lazarus, Greg Lopez Fitzgerald, Greg McDonald, Greg McGuire, Greg Moeller, Gregory Ellis, Griffin Sims, Guy Davidson, Guy Nelson, Gwyn Roberts, Hamish Holton, Hank Okazaki, Harper High, Harris Frost, Harrison Daly, Harrison Dunn, Harry Sachs, Harry Westergaard, Hayden Cook, Hell on Celluloid, Henry Nerg, Henry, Hobgoblin O'Brien, Honeyjack, Hoofy Hoof, Horse Lover Fat, Howard Leader, Hugo Poderoso, Hunter Haynes, IG, I remember you was conflicted misusing your fleshlight. Sometimes I did the same, abusing my sex toy full of sperm that I'm happy and I'm normal. Ian Moss, Ian Clies, Ian McNamara, Ian Stratton, Ian W. Intensive Purposes. Isaac Coleman, Isaac Morell, Isaac Holgan, Ivan, Jeff, J. Steven, Jay-Z, Jace, Jack Bedesi, Jack Bishop, Jack Book, Jack Breakways. And if you think you can just write stuff for me to say, you guys got away with it this time, but no one else, you can be censored from this point on. Jack Frayed Rind, Jack McConaughey, Jack Mysteric, Jackson Mello, Jackson Noel, Jacob Bowles, Jacob Fellman, Jacob Sanders, Jacob Vassar, Jacob Peterson, Jay Gill, Jake Benassi, Jake H. Richardson, Jake Tibbs, Jacob Durasco, James Baker, James Cole, James Cullen, James Gregg, James Luzarder, James Long, James M. McLeod, James N., James Overholtzer, James Van, James Waters, Jameson, Jamie Wright, Jan Hamish Sledge, Janie E., Jarrett, Jason B., Jason Simon, Jason Lewis, Jason Prince, Javier Nunez, J. Jeffrey, J.D., Jeff Chanley, Jeffrey Shorts, Jenkum Terry, Jeremy Hawkins, Jeremy Keys, Jeremy Neuheis, Jeremy Cran, Jesse Ferguson, Jesse Lopez, Sapero, Jesse Shira, Justin Fox, Jim Vance, Jimmy R, Jerka Raiha, Joe Bolsel, Joe Clark, Joe Greenwood, Joe Kickass, Joe McGregor, Joe Probus, Joe Signorelli, Joe the Lion, Joey, Johannes Massetti, Johannes Mentrop, Johannes Schranchinger, John Abel, John Campbell, John Carter, John Daniel, John Doe, John McGuire, John Otto, John Paul McKenna, John Petrovich, John Semley, John Toes, John Van Atta, John Walsh, John Warner, Johnny McConney, John Freeman, John Robin, John W., Jonah Puskar, Jonathan Durr, Jonathan Hipsher, Jonathan Mislav, Jonathan Milosavljevic, John Arjush, Jordan Christenberg, Jordan Friedland, Jordan Sekarishia, Jordy Madison, Joran Thornton, Joseph Torchinsky, Josh Bernhard, Josh Furlan, Josh Iron, Josh Katz, Josh LaBelle, Josh Tabish, Joshua Barfitt, Joshua Brown, Joshua Gonzalez, Joshua Painter, Joshua Isgreen, Joshua Sklar, Joshua Tarshla, Hosea Sutton of the Fruitless Podcast, Jocelyn Moneyron, JP Meldrum, JT60564, Juan Calhallen, Juan Damien, Yulin Towers, Julio Maria Martino, JT60564, Juniper Hutchinson, Justin Burning, Justin Forlenza, Justin Haley, Justin W., K. Walsh, K. Parrington, Caro Von Brown, Kaylee Erickson, Kathleen Cummings, Keldon Bester, Kemble McClure, Ken Nichols, Kenji Garland, Kenneth Hagerman, Kenny Hedges, Kenny Jones, Carrie Champion, Keshav Srinavasan, Kevin Barr, Kevin Johnston, Kevin Matthews, Kevin Shaughnessy, Kevin Sheets, Coral Klaus, Kirst Satoff, Kirsty Knuckle Scraper, Kormichi Music, Christoph, Kurt Freeman, Kyle Bates, Kyle McStay, L. Hollier, Lance Garrison, Larry McCarley, Lars Henricks, Lazy Boots, Leaves on the Line, Lee Calloway, Lee Hernandez, Leo Martin, Leo Martinez, Leo Nichols, Levi, Lexi Baby, Liam James, Liam O'Connell Becker, Lynn Olson, Lisa Silver, Liz Ryerson, Lobster Johnson, Logan Mann, Logan Robert, Lord Co, Lorne Kilgore, Louis Waters, Louis Philippe Gagnon, Lovely Rose, L. Ron Howard, Lou Yu Swan, Lucas Lacamara, Luigi Ritchie, Luke Bellomi, Luke Field, Luke Lafferty, Luke Sims, Luke Thomas, Luke Welling, Luke Williams, Lynn Min May, Makemura, Malcolm Geary, Mark Blanchard, Mark Catapano, Mark Sorznij, Mark Grimpo, Marcus Andrews, Marcus Jones, Marcus Pitaluga, Marianne Satterley, Mary Taggart, Mark Flanagan, Mark Harper, Mark Kywin, Mark R. Deming, Marcus Zimmerman, Martin Law, Mason Colburn, Matt Bajek, Matt Seznick, Matt Cook, Matt Cody, Matt H, Matt Haller, Matt Kluge, Matt Moriarty, Matthew Davis, Matthew Farley, oh, hey, Matt Farley, how's it going? Matthew Gadsby, Matthew Giofino, Matthew Palmer, Matthew Smith, Matthew Thomas, Matthew Welsh, Matthew Elanger, Maxwell Dickinson, Melissa Messash, Mia Vitale, Michael Antonio Gonzalez, Michael Carroll, Michael Chiesci, Michael DeForge, Michael Denuzio, Michael Frollo, Michael Garland, Michael Keene, Michael Knotts, Michael Lane, Michael O'Leary, Michael Prosino, Michael Van Fleet, Michael Willis, Michael Winsky, Mikey Savage, Midsize Sedan, Mike Gallagher, Mike Gray, Mike Martins, Mike Opal, Mila Satanisik, Minnesota Turtle, Misha Jemsek, Mert, Mona Weiser, Moss Lelko, Mr. Possum, Mix45, Name Naomi Walker, Nate Hamlet, Nate St. Paul, Nathan Duckworth, Nathan Truitt, Nathan Wisnicki, Nathaniel Tyson, Nathaniel Wilson, of PP Poo Poo Man fame, Nature 17, Neckabeard Social, Ned Rust, Nietzsche Zimmerman, Neil Fuller, Nestor T, Nicholas Peters, Nicholas Zeller, Nick Barzak, Nick Brown, Nick Fulton, Nick Petreka, Nick Porter, Nick Richardson, Nick V, Nico Schmidt, Nikki Niles, Noah Liederman Grice, Nolan Rabid, Norm Munaz, NR, obviously, of course, Octavia Leona Kaur, Oleg Karitin, Oliver Evans, Oliver Neville, Ollie Drumbum, 1 second before, one true patron, Orange Cross, Oren Lyman, Owen Thomas, Parissa B, Parissnip Master, Particle Made, Party with Pizzy, Patrick Carroll, Patrick Klein, Patrick Kennedy, Patrick Macias, Patrick McCallahan, Patrick O'Donnell. Patrick Macias has a great podcast called Pure Tokyoscope. I would highly recommend checking it out. Patrick O'Donnell, Paul Caravello, Paul Stokes, Paul Benjamin, Pedro, Penultimate Tommy Wiseau, Per Hasselstrom, Petey Lawson, P.R. Hill, Peter Brannon, Peter Demes, Peter Jim, Peter Kaplowski, Peter McGann, Peter Salome, Phil Brown, Phil Dreisen, Phil Waddock, Philip DeClue, Philip Jeffries, Philip Segal, and yes, that Philip DeClue is my brother. Phoebe, please, hello. Plesio Geist, Poor Sailor, Preston McFarlane, Problem Child 2 on DVD, Pro Color, Sam Fron, QPLK, Quid Henderson, Rainer, Kienbach, Ralph. Randall Silver, Randy Danger, Raphael Ambrosius Cousteau, Ray Reagan-Jones, Reese Cahill, Reed Fowler, Relax Sock, Rich Gabe, Richard Chandler, Richard E., Richard Wellens, Rick Kane, Ricknet, Rico Underwood, Riku Isu Marku, Riley Ennis, Rob Lee, Rob S., Robbie Carley, Robbie Beck, Robert Brewy, Robert Denby, Robert Krantz, Robert L. Newsom, Robert McDonald, Robert Riot, Robert White, Robin Zachary, Robbiville Cassis, Rockwell White, Rodrigo Alvarado, Rochambeau, Roman Pesarov, Ronan Kelly, Rose Gunn, Rose Kirk, Roy Denboer, Root Dog, woof, woof, Runar, Rune Bird, Russi, Russell Hall, Ryan Callahan, Ryan Dorfler, Ryan Golan, Ryan Relia, Sadie Carter, Sam Crosby, Sam Hackney, Sam Loveland, Sam Ray, Sam Time, Sam Westergaard, Sammy Gold, Samuel Medina, Samuel Whaley, Sarah Cleary, Sasha Kellerman, Smembo Lembo, Scott R, Scotty Gilmer, Strafraka, Seamith, Sean Enright, Sean Fuller, Sean Holcomb, Sean Morrison, Sean Trainer, Sean White, Sebastian Lepre, Celia Kale, Seth Baldwin, Seth Calloway, Seth LeJacques, Seymour Butts. Oh no, I can't believe I said it. Shakib, Shane, Shannon, Shay Kelleher, Simon Barrett, Simon Ennis, Sinjin, CJ Adams, another all caps one, CNAC, some sketchy guy. Oh no! Sophia Johnson, Spencer E. Jones, Stein Eric Rutledal, Sten Walker, Stephanie Suzanne, Stephen French Jr., Stephen Jennings, Stephen Keelback, Stephen Mortland, Stephen Parker, Stephen Strother, Stephen Vang, Stephen Putz, Steve Sherritt, Steve Huff, Stuart Anderson, Stu Watkins, Stuart Ness, Stuart Shepard, Suburban Cowboy, Super Engine, Swaggy Peepaw, T. Hodler, T. Goodwin, Ty, Tales of Tiles, Tanner Tefelsky, Tarek M., Taylor Smart, Ted Rowland, Teddy Buffa, Terry Cree, Terry McCarthy, The Art of Bee, Theodore Falk, Theodore Harnouche, The Welfare Lobby, This Town is Doomed, LLC, Thomas Radkit, Thomas V., Thomas Van Venedal, Toss West, Tiago Eminem, Tim C., Tim Hilbert, Tim Schofield, Tim Willows, Timon Beek, Timothy Klein, Tom Golden, Tom Taylor, Thomas, Tomislav Sapik, Tommy H., Tommy Scarpinato, Tor Peterson, Totally Wizard, Travis S. Tash, Travis Webb, Tree Mabry, Tree McKinley, Tristan Sandler, Tristan Wheeler, Trone Tropcourt, Troy Schultz, Truman Mayer, Turbo Snore, Turka Lennon, Tyler M. Bagby, Tyler P., Tyler Plunkett, Tyler Thibodeau, Under the Floorboard, Uncle Greg, Vehement Films, Vincente Perez, Vold Joy Mibiaki, Walker Roberts, Warble Flutter, Whole Bowl of Fun, parentheses, Jacob Bolin, Will Aiken, Will Allen, Will Barshop, Will C., Will Comrie, Will Perkins, Will Lusted, William Buckingham, William Jones, William Madsley, William Waterhouse, Willow, Wombat, Yezo, Zach Osgood, Zach Brady, Zach H., Zach Hurley, Zach Tennant, Zachary Ainsley, Zachary Hollingsworth, Zachary Kaplan, Zachary Souza, Zachary Warmbroad, Zach Fowler, Zach Schindler, Zinnia Flowerbud, Zodi Wheeler, Zul, Zizboom, and finally, Zzz. Thank you all for becoming Patreon subscribers. I hope I'll see you in the Discord in the near future, and we could not keep doing this without you.
Justin, you saw the new Wallace and Gromit movie.
I did.
I did too. And it was okay.
Yeah, and looking at people's reviews, they love it. And I feel bad talking about it in a midway.
Right. So this is Wallace and Gromit: Murder Most Foul.
Yes.
It's played on it's played on TV in the UK, and here I saw it at the
theatrically,
Lightbox.
yeah, because they get all the Netflix films.
And it might be on Netflix by the time this episode comes out. I don't know. And the thing about this new Wallace and Gromit movie is it's got all the stuff in it, and even a sort of lesser Wallace and Gromit movie has like a million delightful visual gags, lots of great ideas.
It's like doesn't have that much going for it. And this seems, I didn't watch it. There was a Chicken Run sequel that came out on Netflix.
See that.
No one saw it because it got really middling reviews when it came out. So funny. You know who they replaced with Mel Gibson with? Let's get someone unproblematic that won't have any issues. I got it. Zachary Levi. He's the new male rooster in the film. But yeah, I didn't see it because no one really liked it. People like this Wallace and Gromit movie more. I do feel there is that, like, I'm just happy to be with my friends kind of feel to it.
Absolutely. I'm happy to see Wallace and Gromit again. I think the new Norbot character, these little gnomes who are AI, basically, I think there are funny gags with them. I mean, there are funny gags all the way through this.
There's just not enough.
Well, the problem is, I don't know, it feels like a twice told joke to me, where it's a sequel to The Wrong Trousers. The penguin from that is back.
Yeah.
And there are all these things in this movie, the first time you see Wallace and he's, in his being woken from his bed.
But I've seen that already decades ago.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, I'm still happy to see it, but I'm not delighted like I used to be.
I think I read somewhere that this was kind of like a, make one for us that people want, and then you can do whatever other new project that you want to do.
Makes sense to me.
That makes sense to me, especially the way that, like, it is tired. It's like a lot of rehashed jokes and like characters and events. And even the end where I'm like, here we go. It's the big, set piece climax. And it's like, it's fine.
Well, the thing, they have an actual train chase in this one.
Yeah, but it doesn't even compare to The Wrong Trousers when he's laying down the track.
The toy train chase, I know. Well, after it was done, because I was watching this movie.
Oh, did you go watch The Wrong Trousers after?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Because I thought to myself, like, am I just older, or does this have less impact, or what? And I watched The Wrong Trousers, and it's like, oh, this is incredible. It's a masterpiece.
I mean, Nick Park did co-direct this one, right?
He did, yeah.
So he's probably like, I'm tired. I can't believe I'm still making Wallace and Gromit. Like,
and again, to be fair, there's lots of fun stuff in this movie. If you watch it, you'll probably have a good time.
I love the Shaun the Sheep movie they made.
Oh, me too.
Yeah, that movie was great.
Yeah.
Like that is a particular vein of comedy, like that slapstick, like no dialogue comedy that there's so many inventive stuff that they can do. And I haven't seen too many of the shorts, but there's a lot of those shorts.
The cracking contraptions and the Shaun the Sheep
maybe
shorts.
If I had a son at some point that could watch them, that they'll be checking them out. Now, you said something interesting in your review that you said, I wouldn't care if it was CGI, right?
Well, watching this new Wallace and Gromit, going back to look at The Wrong Trousers.
Oh, you love how kind of like rough in the hands.
You can see the thumbprints and stuff like that. Whereas this one, it looks like it's been smoothed out. And I feel like if you're doing that, just make it CG.
Yes. There's some like, remember when Tim Burton was doing a stop motion with like the corpse bride and stuff like that, and they had a technique that just like didn't look good? I mean, there's stop motion in Beetlejuice too, and it's so smooth that you're like, is this
I don't get the point of doing it at that point. Yeah.
I think that like it's all about the weight and the kind of, you know, the presence of the characters on screen, which, I mean, would the argument be like, this is for kids, they don't know the difference? Like,
Or they probably have market research that says, oh, they don't like to see the flaws, which I don't think is true.
No, I think they love it. Yeah. I think that even if kids don't consciously know what's going on, what they really like to see is just like a homemade feel. I mean, that's probably why we like it, because we, whether we realize it or not, like watching such stop motion classics as Bump in the Night. Did you ever watch that?
I did watch Bump in the Night.
What a hideous looking show. But it was all stop motion. So and they did like so many episodes of that too. They keep saying stop motion is so expensive. What about you make it just look not as smooth?
Yeah.
And you can make more of it.
Yeah, because I feel like speaking for me at least, my human brain likes the sort of uncanny feeling of like, oh, I can tell it's clay, but it's also moving.
Mm-hmm. And
in this new one, I can't tell it's clay.
You know what? You're right. I was watching it, and there are CG enhancements throughout, like explosions and stuff like that.
And I'll accept that.
Yeah, I don't like. I'm not a purist of like, oh, it just needs to be like perfectly like all CG. I'm just like, you know what? It just was missing a little life. Is what I'll say. But I saw a lot of people I follow whose opinions I trust. They love this movie, so all I could say is, I wish I could feel the same love that you did.